Morning, everybody. 8:21 a.m. April 22nd. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday, a lot of news yesterday. The market's kind of pushed up a little bit and then hit supply, sold off, right? Recovered, sold off again based on all this news. Finally filled the gap in the ES. Had an unfilled gap. Then Trump extends a ceasefire, and right now markets are liking it, particularly the Nasdaq. ES is relatively weak this morning. Okay, that's really what's going on. The charts tell the story. We're basically in a balance area, right? So bullish momentum is still here. Not once yesterday did I think this market was weak or we were going to sell off. Hence my two longs I tried that got stopped. I wouldn't call them the best longs. Then I had a long later on in the day that worked out a little bit. Probably another day that I probably shouldn't have had. I probably didn't have a setup per se. Internals were weak at the time, and they just needed to fill that gap, I guess. That didn't happen until later, but still, there's no weakness in this market. We have a lot of uncertainty, but Trump making the ceasefire indefinite because Pakistan said they really need to work stuff out. I guess Tehran, the leaders are all in disarray or something, and they need to get on the same page. So I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but the markets seem to like that. Now, crude today is up again. It was up yesterday. Okay, so that inverse correlation kind of held yesterday. Okay, now today after the markets closed, we have Tesla's earnings in service now. Okay. And like I said the way the market structure is, how we kind of just move like a barcode, right? And then news will jump us out of it. It just makes for very boring, difficult trading because you get moves out of nowhere because of news, and it's really sitting here watching it. It's not the best trading environment. If you catch one of those news and you have a system that can work off momentum like that, then you're probably having some decent days. So that's just the way it is. All right. Now let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. Use market profile and volume promo put fund structure in the markets. Low supply and demand. Gamma exposure levels. The most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. That's how I come up with game plans. Okay. Now once that market opens, I use my market internals. Anchored view ops. My expected move indicator you get for free on my Discord. Little ICT smart money concepts, but basically my own system. Okay. It is my own. Okay. Now every morning, hopefully you join me. Subscribe, set that alert. Good morning, Mark. Subscribe and set that alert. Give you the market story, the market news, economic calendar, leaders and laggards, technical analysis, and I give you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and NASDAQ futures later in the stream. All right. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Okay. So, let's get right into the futures watch list here. See what's moving markets. We got Ethereum. Ethereum's up 4.5%. Bitcoin's up 4.42% at 78,000. Silver's up 2%. Gold up 1.14. Russell's up 1%. Nasdaq's up pretty much 1%. ES up 0.76. The Dow's up 0.76. Crude is up 0.38. 30-year bonds is up. Sen yield's lower. Dollar's flat. 10-year yield is down 0.61, and the VIX is down 3.31%. The VIX got over 20 yesterday at one point. All right, moving on to the Mag 7. Now your Bitcoin proxy, Coinbase, is up 4.5%. Boeing had earnings this morning. They are up 4%. AMD up 2.43%. at all-time highs. Google is up 1.64. Broadcom is up 1.60. Amazon up 1.20. This is all heavyweights, okay? Meta up 0.94. GE up 0.90. Tesla reports earnings after the close, up 0.88. Microsoft up 0.76. JP Morgan up 0.64. Nvidia up 0.63. And Eli Lilly, who got murdered at the open yesterday, up 0.57. Netflix up 0.57. Apple up 0.44. Berkshire Hathaway up 0. No negative. All right. All right. Nothing negative. Top sectors. Let's do it. Oh boy. That's my baby right there. GE Vernova. And every time I say this, boy, my entry is at like 260, 280 or something like that. It's at 1,000. It's over $1,000 stock now. 1,068. Boy, every time I'm like, I want to add, and I'm just like, the pullback doesn't come too much. So, man, I will one day when this thing pulls back add because I need to add to that. That's just ridiculous. That stock's on a tear. Up 7.79% after earnings. Oracle up 3.38. Mining stock up 1.83. Caterpillar up 1.66. Palantir up 1.35. Salesforce up 1%. Goldman Sachs up 0.91. United Healthcare up 0.89. Laggard. All it is Chevron and Exxon. Okay. Moving on to sectors. Semiconductors up 1.30%. That's a risk on market, folks. Technology up 1.09. Industrials up 1%. Base materials up 0.68. Discretionary, everything is up, but energy is not even down that much. So the market, even though we're inside yesterday's range, which was huge, the market is liking what they're seeing right now with a ceasefire. Indefinite ceasefire. Okay. All right. Moving on. Economic calendar. Economic calendar. 30-year mortgage came out today. Previous 6.42 went down a little bit. And we have crude inventories at 10:30. Okay, moving on. Let's see Trump's schedule today. Let me just refresh it. Let's see. President participates in the meeting with Commissioner of Social Security. President participates in policy meeting. I don't see anything right there. Let's look at the juice. Looks like U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent testifies at 2 o'clock. Obviously Tesla. Okay. Alrighty. Let's look at some other news. Let's see if there's any stock roundup news. They haven't done this in a while. Remember, it's earnings season. Alright, more news. AT&T adds more wireless subscribers than expected as bundling pays off. United Airlines echoes industry caution as Iran war fuel surge squeezes margins. Micron pushes U.S. Congress to crack down on chip tool sales in Chinese rivals. Crypto exchange gear up to launch U.S. perpetual futures ahead of rule change. S&P 500 PE looks cheap, but high oil prices still pose a threat. Let's see if there's anything else here. That's groundbreaking. I don't really think there is. Let's look at GE Vernova. The power equipment maker raised its annual forecast. A strong demand from data centers accelerated order growth across its power and electrification units. The company now expects revenue of $45.5 billion to $45.5 billion in 2026, compared with its prior view to $44 billion. It reported $18.3 billion in orders for the first quarter, a growth of more than 71% organically. Its electrification unit reported a core profit of $528 million, up from $205 million. Jesus. While the power unit posted $811 million, nearly a 57% rise. Analysts on average expected the company to report annual revenue of $44.5 billion. Jesus. Tesla, let's see here. Let's see what else here. Yeah. United Health. Let's see. Oppenheimer raises target price to 405 and 385 for United Healthcare. Alrighty. You know what we'll do? We'll look at some breadth charts here. I'm sure credit spreads are probably, yeah, credit spreads are down, so we don't have to look at that. You're going to the bullish percent indexes here. Let's just refresh. Now we have percentage of stocks over the 50-day moving average went down yesterday, 57. So very middling for the 50%. For the 50-day moving average. Okay, and then we're going to move over to the bullish percent index. Okay, and look at our S&P 500. 66. You can see that rise, right? 66% on buy signals. Okay, we're not too overbought yet. NDX. 63% on buy signals. Okay. Let's drill down. Let's drill down into finance. Look at that. Man, I said it before. Financials was a buy down here. Oh, my lord. Now it's getting to overbought territory, financials. That was an opportunity. All right, let's drill down into infotech. Yeah, this is getting a little frothy. 79% on buy signals. Okay. So frothiness from financials, frothiness from tech. Staples. Let's see what staples are at. 38% on buy signals. So staples are maybe coming into play here. Is there any energy here? Energy. Let's see. Energy. Energy. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Nah, this makes sense, right? 22% on buy signals for energy. So, interesting. Energy is 22% on buy signals. So it was just all the way up there. Woo. Okay. What else is there? Oh, let's look at discretionary. %77% on buy signals. All right, so we're seeing some frothiness in some of the big market cap movers. Okay, so infotech is getting very frothy. Financials getting very frothy. Discretionary getting pretty frothy. Let's look at communications. Let's see if that we can do that. Communications. Let's look at that one. Now that's only on 56% buy signal. So communications not as strong. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder if there's an equal weight we can look at. I don't know if there will be. I never really checked for this. No. Alright, there we're down here. Very interesting. You know what we'll look at real quick? The 20-day. 20-day. Alright, so we were up in 80%. And that usually means you're a little overbought in a 20-day moving average. When you get into the 80s, we were in the 80s. Now we're in the, let's say 70%, 69%. Okay? And if you get in that 80, 85 area, that's pretty much a frothy market. Okay? All right. We can move on. We can look at internals. All right. Internally. Now, yesterday, the market was pretty weak. Equal weight led the way, the market cap, because technology, for the most part, was holding on. Okay? So it took news, really, to move the markets yesterday. Okay? It really just took news. All right? Finally got some selling. You hit the previous day's lows. Okay? And then it just barcoded. And then finally, right? Right here, recovered. And then here, I believe, where they said J.D. Vance was not going to Islamabad. Market didn't like that. But then that ceasefire, the market came back in futures. Okay, now, you did have some weakness, not really in the overall market as much. Okay. tricky day. Like I said, I probably, honestly, the way the market was moving probably should have been a no trade day for me. But I took some trades, and that's just how it is. Um, I could have got out the first one. I was up in profit, and I was like, I don't know, I don't trust this. Probably should have trusted my instinct to win the break even, and then I tried another long, which is probably not the best long. At the time, the ticks were really red. Um, just a hard market yesterday, being that we're in. You look to the left, big consolidations, and then news is moving market. Okay, so we'll have to see. We just kind of pushed up and kind of got rejected right now in the markets. We'll get into it in a second. Okay, let's move on to dailies. Here's our good old daily charts here. And you can see from the chart that, I'll just call it pink line. That's last Friday's close. So right now the week is negative. The market's down for the week. Okay. So we zoom in right here. And you can see we took out the last prior 2 days. When this happened, I said, the internals didn't tell me we were going to get an outsized move to the downside. Hence why I was kind of trying along. Okay. And tech was not weak. It wasn't like a dumb, all-out dumb trade, but probabilities were probably not the most in my favor. Okay, so that you could see, you broke the 2 days right here. You had a doji, you finally broke 2 days of daily, right? Right now, where are we now? 708.60. So we are in the upper third to the midpoint of yesterday. Again, not the best area. Okay, really not the best area. Let's look at futures. Remember that daily supply zone I talked about? Well, check it out. If I extend it out, right? Oh, annoying. All right, so look at that. Came in again. Bought. So that's staying right there as the buy points in futures. Okay. It looks easy here, right? Like, oh, it came in there, but you know. So we're in balance, folks. We really are in balance. Look at this market. You got the daily demand here, and we're just balancing. We're balancing, and this is bullish. It's bullish. There's nothing else to it. There's no bearishness to this. It's bullish. Okay. Now let's go to the Qs. Qs are relatively stronger today. Okay. Again, took out. Did we take out? Yeah, we took out the last 2 days. There's Friday's close, that pink line. That means we're down for the week. Okay, where are we now though? We just were up. Now we're not. 649.40s. 649.40s puts us. Yeah, see they're at yesterday's highs. Yesterday's highs. Okay, very bullish for the Nasdaq this morning. Okay, let's look at futures. You can see in a balance area. You can see the daily demand right here again came into the play. So if you want to put that, we'll just put that here. That little daily demand zone here again. Dipped its toe in, dipped its toe in. Okay. The purple one. All right. So again, remember I talked about this daily demand. That's been bought each time. Okay. So you can see Nasdaq futures right up in the upper portion of this balance. Now, the thing is now with this market, right? What you have to think now is you probably want to be long bias, but if we keep getting resistance up here and become a balance area, well, then you got to short that market back to here. Then you got to buy the market until we get some clarity. I think we're waiting for clarity. We're also in earnings season. Tesla's reporting earnings, and then you have a slew of more earnings coming in the coming weeks. Okay, so that's how you have to look at this market. And the market's telling us it's bullish, it's accepting these higher prices. Okay, but we might have a two-way market now. Obviously, we do. Look, came up, came down, up, down, up. Maybe we come back down again. Right? Crude is not down this week, it's up. Okay, so we have to see. Moving on. Let's go to hourlies. And it's just not my favorite hourly chart at all. I mean, you have it a nasty sweep right now. I don't know if news came out at all, but let's look at this hourly charts together. Okay. So we have a sweep here of this consolidation. Let me get my marker out. I still don't like this chart. Okay, I really don't like it. Which stinks because when you look at something like that, I'm just like, ugh. It's just, you know what kind of price action you're going to get. Not great. Okay, now this hourly chart doesn't show the balance like in the dailies do, right? But that's what we're in. We're in that. Okay, and let's just put a layer of a volume profile on here. We'll start from this. Let's do that again. I don't know why that didn't work. Here we go. We'll start from this candle and just see the volume profile. Okay, so first thing you want to note, right? Well, there's my level, right? That's why I put those boxes on. That's the most traded price of the like. That's the most traced right now of the rolling week. 71.62, right? You could see the high volume node right here. That's why I have that box there. I don't need the volume profile, but this is from this candle here. This is your value area, so we can extend that, the green, in the highlight area of the volume profile. That's the area. 70% of the trading volume is taking place in this area. And look where we are, in the middle of the value area. Horrible, horrible trade location. Horrible. It's really bad. Okay? Just not good. Okay? Just wanted to put that out there. Just not exciting at all. So, that's the area, and we're in the middle of this range. Really pretty poor area. So you came up here into supply, reject it, you swept. If you close down in here, you're probably going to come back down to here. Okay. 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 Now that's what I'm saying. You came into supply, you almost hit the most traded price of the week. If you close here, more than likely you're going to test this side of balance. Now, look at this price action here. That's pretty strong consolidation, right? But now, we didn't see, this is where I don't love this. It's not like we came up into the top of balance, right? And we're selling off. Now I would say, ooh, you're probably going to go down to this side. Now you still can. It's just you're in the middle of garbage. That's why, if we can play this move if wherever this close. That's a pretty nice sweep. That probably means any longs here are probably took profits. You're most likely going to move back down to the 71.30 area. Now this is the most traded price of yesterday right here. Okay, what level is that? 71.25 is about. Okay, that was yesterday's open. Believe it or not. Was it? Oh, sorry. That is not yesterday's open. That is the overnight open. All right. So, yeah. Like I said, look at this like a big balance area. You're in the middle of it. Horrible. Horrible. Okay. You want to be active like here, here. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay. This is an opportunity, depending on where we close here, to just play this little range. The 71.30 to 171, let's call it 50, 40, the high 40s. Okay, but just not in a great area, just really not. Okay, now let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ members relatively stronger today. Look at the NASDAQ. You see what I'm talking about? You see how like we're in balance, but we just tested the balance highs. Okay? So whenever you start to be in balance, right? Balance highs, balance lows, and the Nasdaq came up to balance highs and got rejected. Okay? This gives you an opportunity and to not in sync the markets, right? I would have rather had the ES up to this level as well, but it's not. So now, if you break this, now the market could come back and test this side of balance because now it has all these buyers that once this, if this closes back under here and hits this, then you're going to probably work off all those longs, and we're going to do this until we get some kind of resolution in this Middle East conflict. Okay, now I'm going to throw let's throw a volume profile in here just to reiterate. Okay, so notice this is value area, the green in the green, right? Price action, remember the ES, remember, look, that's why I have this box here. It's the most traded price right there, right? So right there, right, was where the ES is in the range. Look where the Nasdaq is. You're above value here. So if you're going to sell your house, right, you want to sell it at a premium, value area high, right? You want to sell your house up here, hence shorting the market, and maybe you can come down here. So it's going to be very interesting today what really happens here. Okay, you got a high volume node here, got a high volume node here. Okay, this is why it's so difficult. Look at the trading volume in this area. It's very thick. There's not a lot of poor structure to be had here. The only thing you could play now is, like I said, you came into balance highs in an crude's up in an environment that we don't know what's going to happen. Now look at that. That's a pretty nasty hourly candle. That's an inverse hammer. That, my friends, if you get a premium again and we move back up in here, that could be a nice short, and you ride that puppy down to at least the 2655s. Okay. Now again, you never know when the balance is going to end and we're going to break out. You never know. We really don't know. Right? Bulls have the momentum, but this is a pretty nasty candle, and I don't know if this is news driven or it's just balance. You came up here and longs have to take profits. See what I'm saying? This is called what I call gravity. Right? This is what I call, that's a very nasty candle. Okay? I just don't like where the ES is. Okay? I like where the Nasdaq is for the short. Okay? And we have Tesla earnings, so Tesla's probably going to be dead today during the market. Okay? Let's just look real quick at the ES again. ES, you could see, balance highs in the middle of balance. ES is ugh. It's just not great. And then when you come down here, this is just not great. It's probably going to do like if it goes to go down, it will be like very labored unless there's news. Unless there's news. Okay? Let's move on. And yesterday's volume was pretty nice. Let's look at the volume real quick. I just want to see the relative volume today. 71%. Okay, let's go. Let's move. Let's move. Let's move. Let's move. And you'll see this too over here. So this is your market profile, volume profile. Remember, this is all split out between overnight sessions and real-time trading hours, or regular trading hours. Okay, and right off the bat, okay, you can see my composite volume profile on the right here, showing you the balance we're in. Okay, I don't really need that there, but it's just confirming, okay, we're in balance, we're in the middle. See, here's value area, just like I showed you earlier. We're in the middle. Horrible. Horrible where we're at. Really bad. Okay, now what you can guarantee when you're in the middle of balance, what you guarantee is there will be an inside out trade. It's not a great, I'm not a fan of that trade, but I will guarantee you'll get this move or this move. It's guaranteed. It's called an inside out trade. Now, to me, it's a coin flip of what happens. Okay, because you have what? Yesterday's session, and overnight is nestled inside. Okay, here's the midpoint of the overnight. Here's the midpoint of yesterday. Here's price. So, and you can see the overnight VPOX right there. So what's going to happen is most likely your overnight session will become your barometer. Okay, so let's get right into scenarios here. Oh, mother. Hold on a second. I just messed up my. I just messed up something here real quick. Give me a sec here. Oh. Give me a second here. That's a pain in the butt what I just did. Give me a sec. I'm trying to remember. Sometimes I forget how this works. Okay, let me see if I can get this here. I think I'm going to do it here. Okay, give me a sec here. I got it, I got it, I got it. Hallelujah. Jesus. Sorry about that. Let's get into it. Alright, that didn't work. Why did that not work? There we go. Sorry about that. Sorry. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, let's break out the session here. And like I said, let's get into long and short trade scenarios in ES. Break out the session. Okay, so remember I said we're in the middle of the middle. Okay, in the middle of the big balance area. Not a good trade location, but we have our guidelines here. Overnight highs 71.57. Overnight highs, overnight lows 71.18s. Okay, that's kind of probably where I would like to do business a little bit. Okay, now we have balance lows 70.85s. Balance highs around 71.85s, 83s. This is our playground. Okay, this is our playground. Okay, now we did sweep this little consolidation in the overnight, right? I said the expected move back should be around to this right here, to the 71.30s. I mean, I would say right now, if I went in short it right now and put a stop here, I would pretty much be very confident that it's going to hit here. Okay, so let's get into it. Remember, inside out trade. So let's talk about, let's do the shorts first. Okay, now we swept in a hit supply, right? Swept, close a 30-minute candle here, back to balance. So right here, I wouldn't like trading entering here because you probably get chopped alive. But if you probably shorted here with your stop above the overnight highs at 71.57, it's going to run. And it's going to run at least to 71.30s. Okay? So that's the inside out trade, right? I'm not a fan of it, but it's going to most likely happen. Okay. Now, the real trade, okay, is the overnight session, okay, or deeper. So if I want to go long here, let's start with a long here, okay. So what do I want to see? If the market drops, breaks the overnight lows, 71.18s. Now, right, anywhere down in here, and let's say we hit that demand zone around 70.93, okay, that's balance area low. Now, when you come down here, it's probably going to look very scary, like, oh my God, the market's selling off. As long as you get support in here, you would go long with the higher low. And then you would target all the way back. Now, I'm not saying we do this in one day, 71.80s, around there. Okay. Now, what else can happen is we just take out the overnight lows, 71.18s, and then see if you can find support. Okay. Around the 71.04 area. That would be kind of like yesterday's value area low. Wait for that higher low and try to go for the 71.80s. I think you get my drift of what I'm talking here. Now, that's kind of a balance. You long the bottom half of the balance. Okay? It's pretty simple. And again, these will not be easy when you watch price action because it will look like, oh my God, it was really weak. And then once sellers turn into buyers, new buyers come in, you go back. Okay? I believe this is probably going to be the theme of the market. Shorts. Okay? Shorts, what I want to see? Well, if we push up in where 71.61 is the most traded price of the week, into this supply zone, and let's just say we come up into this supply. Now, market's never perfect, but let's say we hit up into the 71.85s, last week's highs, you fall back in, you make a lower high, and let's say the market isn't that strong, it's kind of neutral, right? Then you short that, and you're going to traverse, and with gravity, come all the way down into at least the 7100s most likely, or down into this demand, the 7094s. That's balance rules. Okay? That's just how it works. Like I said, I talked about this trade right here. It's already happening. Remember the sweep, right? That's the manipulation, right? And then we should find ourselves around the 7030s to make a decision. Right? Like I said, I could have shorted here, stop here. It's just going to do what I said. Right? All right. So that's the ES. It's pretty easy. It's just going to probably test your patience today, like it always does. Okay? Let's get over to the NASDAQ. Now remember, NASDAQ is different because the NASDAQ really truly did test the balance area highs. It really did. Right? We still have balance, but NASDAQ really probably has profit taking there at the top of the balance. Okay? And look at the sheer amount of trading that's happening here. Right? It's right at the overnight VPOC right now. Okay? You can just see the balance though. It's not hard to see it. You know, if you don't want to look at the market profile, volume profile, you look at the volume profile to the left, to the right. That is your composite volume profile. Okay? So, let's get into the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ futures. So you got some levels here. So let's break out the session. Okay. Nice little sweep up to the balance highs. The NASDAQ has a better short than the ES does. Okay, it really does. Came into a heavy supply, right? You actually breached last week's highs in the overnight. This is, like I said, NASDAQ is setting up for the better short. So if we start out with shorts, okay, you already have the setup. You pushed above yesterday's highs and hit last week's highs. Okay, now you're getting selling. So you're in supply. You're at the most traded price of the overnight. If you want ultimate premium, you want to see some type of buying come in. Maybe you hit last week's highs, 26883s. Then I want to see a rejection. All right. If you get that lower, if you can close your inside that range, okay, and you get a lower high, you're going to short. Your first target would be taken off at the 26750s, which is yesterday's most traded price, the most traded price of the week. Now we're in balance, so this most traded price of the week, if you breach it and start to find acceptance below it, that's where gravity takes over, and you just have to hold on if your stop's up here, and most likely you will just come down here and test the other side of balance around the 26550s into demand. Most likely you should take profits unless there's some news catalyst that comes out. Okay? Nasdaq really has a nice setup here for a short. Really does. Conservatively, you wait for the 26750s to be taken out, like here, and say we retest it, then you can try to short go for balance lows. Now, longs. Okay? If you want to go long, I'm not a fan of this. Now, you might get a support a little bit at the most traded price of the week here, but balance rules are in place. This is not a good area to go long here. You could get a scalp long, but what would I really want to see? Okay, in this environment, this is a low chance of this happening. But if you did rip up, break that balance high, and started finding acceptance at all-time highs, that's the only chance for a long. I don't see that happening. Okay, because now what could we say from Trump? We already extended the ceasefire, right? It's in kind of this murky kind of like who knows what's going to happen, but like we know all we know right now. Okay, so what you really want to look for is this market to go down. Now, if this market goes down, goes through the middle of balance, then you're going to come down here and test the 2660s, which is yesterday's value area low. Okay, this is also the composite value area low as well. You can see this blue line here. Now, you don't always have to make it down to balance lows. Okay, but if you get some support here, that's the 26660s, then you could try to go back up and try to target 269s. Now, if we work our way down, and we work our way down, and we hit around the 26550s into demand, right? It's going to look, like I said, if this market doesn't have any other news, it's going to look scary, but you're going to want to wait for some type of like pullback, right? And then you get a higher low. And at this point, you really have to see what's driving markets. But most likely, okay, balance rules. Shorts from here will probably take profits here. And then it will look like we're going to break lower, and we don't. That's where you want to go long, right? First target would be the 26750s, the most traded price of yesterday and of the week. And I don't know if we go all the way back to the balance highs, but that's a nice trade. Okay, so really, like this balance lows here, it's pretty a bunch of prime long or the value area high, the 26660s. That's it, folks. Okay, so what's my overall thesis on the market? We are in balance. Okay, Nasdaq has a better setup for a short. Okay, crude is up. I think this market has all the information it has now. Bulls have the momentum, but we're in a two-sided market now. So really, this is not easy to trade balance areas because it always looks like the market's going to break out, either to the upside or the downside. Break down to the downside, break out to the upside. It always looks like it. And then the next thing you know, longs are out, shorts take over, and then we go back to the other side of balance. Okay, so what we want to look at is value area high and low of the balance area and the balance highs and lows to be active. Those are going to give you the best trades, the best risk to reward. And it's even something you probably can hold a little bit because you might not test balance area high to low in one day. It might happen over a couple sessions, right? We'll have to see. There's constant news coming out, but now that there's an extension of the ceasefire, I guess we'll hear some stuff, but I don't know, right? So I'm going to play balance rules today, and that's what we are in, okay? And you could stay in balance for a while. And it basically means, like I said before, this is bullish. We're holding higher prices. In the grand scheme, it's bullish. I think the easier plays will be to the balance area, value area low, and the balance lows. But don't get me wrong, shorts are there. I just feel like you'll probably get better price action for a long. But I am not against a short. Just that I know momentum's with the bulls. Okay? Now, that's it for me. Smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. That means a lot to me. Okay? Now, I do this every day, every morning. Please come join me. Subscribe, set that alert. Give you the market story, the market news, economic calendar, leaders and laggards, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the Nasdaq futures. Okay? Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Okay? Now, if I don't see you in my Discord, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Now, hopefully, you guys make some money today. Remember, no trade is a trade. Okay? We got our plans now. Remember, balance. Balance rules until they're not. All right, everybody. Take it easy.